Hey guys, today I want to talk about why having a chronic illness or any sort of sickness is the biggest blessing. And I know it feels like a curse a lot of the time. This isn't something that you say one time and all of a sudden everything changes and you see it differently. No, this is something to work on every moment of every day, continually reminding yourself that whatever comes to you is meant to come to you. Whatever doesn't come to you was not meant for you. And this is something that infuriated me when people would tell me this before I was ready to kind of accept it on my own. When you're going through a horrible time, or you see someone going through a horrible time, you can't skip right to this is a blessing and it's okay. You have to feel all the ugly, all the bad that comes with that pain. And over time, living with whatever you're dealing with, the path starts to reveal itself and you notice all of the things that would never have happened if you hadn't gone through that horrible thing, the lessons that it's taught you. Before I had any health issues, I found myself really wrapped up in everyday dramas. And once I got sick, I didn't have an option to do that anymore. I did not have the energy to do the sort of things that I was doing before that were harming me. And I think a lot of people feel this way about certain things that they do. They might know that it's not the best for them, but they continue to do it anyway. And if you have a chronic illness, you can't. Like, even if your self destructive side wants to do certain things, there is a point where your body will physically stop you or direct you away from whatever is causing pain or discomfort in your life. So our bodies are a really sensitive compass that are constantly begging us to stay in tune with them. And once we can learn to listen to our bodies, no matter what it's saying, this helps us in literally every single area of life. Everyone gets this feeling, whether you call it a gut feeling or your instincts, whatever you felt this as, there is a signal sent from our body. And someone dealing with chronic illness, this signal is super obvious. It kind of slaps you in the face. It doesn't really give you an option to disagree with it because your body is straight up like, nope, we're not doing that. I'm not letting you leave the house, or I'm not letting you leave the toilet. Which again, at the time, it's like, it's kind of like having like a strict parent who has its best interest at heart for you, but doesn't want you to make the mistakes and won't let you. So if you are living with any sort of chronic illness, you know when you're overdoing it. You know when you're overworking. You know when you're in an environment that isn't conducive to your best health. And you know when you're eating bad food. You know all of these things. You get very clear signals from your body. And something that was really helpful for me to sort of think about this as is your body as your child. A lot of people will say your body as your best friend or treating yourself as a small child. If you have a child who's misbehaving and doesn't want to do what you want it to do, yelling at that child and kind of rigid discipline and being angry at the child will not get what you want done. This will oftentimes create temper tantrums or strong resistance. So the body works the exact same way as that. And oftentimes when I try to force myself to do something that I know might not be best for me, I pay the price. I will often flare up or just be sick in bed for the next day, whatever way it shows in any given situation. This is different for every single person. So your body is yours to learn about. You can't listen to someone else who knows their body and then take all of those same principles and apply it to you. But what you can apply is the same practices to get to understand your body. Our bodies are constantly trying to communicate to us what we need to do and what is best for us. And it just takes some time and some listening in order to decipher what those messages are and trust. These are blessings. They are guiding us onto our best path. And patience is the biggest key to trusting this process. Doing the things you know you need to do and trusting and having patience with that process. It's so much easier said than done, but this is not a race. Life is not a race. You don't want it to be over faster than it needs to be. You want to play this game as you're meant to play it and trusting that you already know how to play it. And there isn't one more thing you need to do in order to get to this certain place. I'm so guilty of this, of, oh, I just need to take this one more class, then I can do that. Or I just need this one more certification, then I can do that. Once I have X, then I can do Y. So that thinking, I'm currently trapped in that. Every day is a struggle to get out of that right now. But I know that that's what you have to do, is first you have to understand what it is, what the thing is that's holding you back, and then go from there. But without that first step, without admitting to yourself what you're doing wrong, there's no further action you can take. You have to name it to tame it. A lot of people in trauma workshops will say that phrase. You have to name it to tame it. And that, yes, that is golden rule. And it's really, really difficult to do that. And you can't learn something unless you're ready to learn something. So a lot of times, like if you have a friend who you can so clearly see what they're doing wrong, and you can tell them a million times, but they're not going to hear you until they're ready to hear you. And the same thing goes for yourself. You can have someone tell you something about yourself that you are doing that wrong, and you might know that you are, but if you're not ready to hear it or accept it, it's just, you're going to make yourself forget about it. So really just taking the time for when someone criticizes you or when someone tells you that you're doing something that might not be the most helpful to you, sitting with that and sitting with that discomfort and not going on the defensive right away. And like all of this stuff is like, I'm saying this to myself. Like I don't do a lot of these things and I'm trying, that's all you can do is try your best. All that you can do is your best. And sometimes your best is better on some days than others, and that's okay. If you were at your best every single day, that wouldn't be your best. That would be your normal. So you have to have bad days in order to have good days. If you have all good days, then they're just days. So you need that contrast in life, and it is okay. Once you get to this place of being so low that it doesn't feel like you can get any lower, that is the blessing, because that reminds you of everything that actually matters. Your health, your loved ones, just connections that you make throughout your life. That is what matters. And a lot of people have to live their entire lives, and on their deathbed, they realize that. So being sick, especially at a young age, gives you this perspective and wisdom that I don't know how else you would get. One of my roommates at the hospital one time was this young girl. I think she was like 10 or 12, and she had terminal cancer. And you wouldn't have met a happier person. And a lot of people know this, like if sometimes the sickest people are the people who are the most compromised in a physical way or a mental way are the happiest people that you'll meet. And it's because they know that what matters is good, everything, like if you're alive, if your heart is beating, that is something to be grateful for. Having a chronic illness teaches you this lesson that so many people take years and years to learn or sometimes never learn, which is to prioritize with yourself first, with your own best interest at heart. And if you know that you have to do a certain thing to feel good, if you know you have to go for runs, if you know you have to go for a walk, if you know you have to wake up early and meditate or do yoga, whatever your thing is that makes you feel good, no matter how busy you are, you make time for that. Another thing that chronic illness has taught me is that you can't try too hard to keep people around. I am a people pleaser by nature. I like seeing smiles. I just want people to be happy. I want to see happy people. I want to be around happy people. I want to be a happy person. And I don't think that that's strange. I think that that should be normal. If someone doesn't want to be in your life, don't let them be in your life. If someone doesn't understand that you can't hang out because you're not feeling good, don't apologize. Don't try to make up for it. It's not your fault that you're sick and that you need rest. Whoever's not understanding that, that is their problem. And don't take on that weight. When I was in school, I always tried really hard to be friends with everyone. And once I got sick, I still wanted to be friends with everyone, but I physically could not spend time with a lot of people. And that's hard for some people to understand, especially in like clingy friendships where they want to be with you every second. I physically couldn't handle that. So naturally, without me really having to do much besides listen to my body, I ended up staying home a lot more, and friends just fell away. And it was really sad and heartbreaking at the time. But looking back on it, it's beautiful because those who weren't meant to continue on my life path with me, they didn't. And those who understood me and what I was going through, I could go a year without talking to them and then start talking to them and it's exactly the same. And those are the types of friends that everyone should have. That unconditional love of life is busy. You know that. Everyone knows that. And because I haven't talked to you in a while, that's nothing against you. That is purely me. And you need people to understand that, especially when you're dealing with chronic illness, because you could have something planned with your friends and then a flare up comes out of nowhere and you can't afford for them to be mad at you because that just causes so much more stress on your body. And it's just not fair. So you need people who understand that and will love you regardless. I think it's always better to have a few quality people in your life than a bunch of people who don't fully understand you and aren't really interested in it. So learning that is something I'm still dealing with, but the people who are in my life now, I know will be in my life for forever. Because these people have been with me through hell and back. And when you have a friend who has slept in your hospital bed with you or have held your hand while you're going through hell, those things will never disappear. Those are connections you will have for the rest of your life. And cherish those memories and nurture those relationships with everything you can because that is what keeps you going. There's no possible way I would have the outlook that my sickness is a blessing without the support of my friends and family. If I was alone this entire time, it would be really, really difficult to overcome these challenges. And I always say that my family, my friends, the people around me are the most incredible people. And I feel so incredibly lucky and blessed to have them in my life. And I always say that I needed to be handed some sort of adversity. And because my physical health is so bad, I was gifted the incredible people around me. I need to form character somehow. So if it feels like people are getting mad at you for your distance or for not being around, don't try to keep those people in your life. Just do you, and whoever's meant to be there will be there, and whoever's not won't. And if someone thinks that you're just ditching them or making up that you're sick, let them think that. It is too exhausting to have to explain yourself every time. And if you find yourself having to explain to other people that you're not lying and that you are sick, just don't waste your energy on that. Just let it go and focus on yourself and focus on healing. So if you're out there and living with a physical or mental illness, and if you've always felt like it was something holding you back and something that was a curse put upon you, take a moment to sit down and journal or contemplate, what if this is actually a blessing? Look back on your life and see the path that you would have gone if you didn't have this illness. Think about what you were doing before you got this illness and think about where you are now. And for me personally, if I never got sick, I would be a raging bitch. I didn't like who I was in middle school or early high school. I remember consciously having to make an effort to stop talking shit about people because I hated that, but I always found myself doing it, and it had a lot to do with people I was hanging around and just being a middle school girl. But I noticed I didn't like that about myself, and I didn't know what else to talk about if you weren't talking shit about people. Because once you're living in this world, it's hard to imagine what the other world looks like. Because I've always been an athlete, so I would treat my brain like anything else in your body, and At first it's hard, just constantly reminding yourself. I would hear myself say a negative thought about someone, or I would feel the urge to speak a negative thought about someone, and I would just stop myself every time and be like, nope, I'm not saying it. No matter how bad I want to say it, I'm not going to say it. And at first it's really hard, but over time, it just becomes who you are. I still struggled with, okay, well, who am I? Who are my friends? What am I doing now? And once I got sick, it just became really clear that I couldn't worry about this anymore. I had to focus on myself and focus on healing and just walk the walk and be the person that I want to be. And if I want to be a healthy person and I know that I have habits that are making me unhealthy, I'm going to do the things I need to do to be a healthy person. And it's okay to go through waves of this. It's okay to have motivation one day and none the next. Everyone is going to have bad days, and the bad days don't define you. What defines you is how you let the bad days affect you. And even if you have a string of bad days, one bad day fuels the next, even if that happens, which it probably will, not letting those define you, not letting yourself speak to yourself as if you're a bad person and a lazy person because you haven't done things in the past week. Just taking each day as it comes to you. And if you know you want to have a good day tomorrow, go to bed and the last thing you say to yourself is, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to feel refreshed, and I'm going to have a great productive day tomorrow. And believe yourself. And it might be hard at first. It might sound like you're being corny or being a liar, and that's okay. Say it anyway. See what happens. And if you have another bad day, then that next day, do it again that night. And just never stop trying to do good things. Never give up the hope that tomorrow could be a good day. Even if all signs point to tomorrow's going to be a shitty day, keep repeating to yourself that it'll be a good day. So I hope if you're out there living with a chronic illness or any sort of physical or mental health adversity, I hope that you take a moment to contemplate whether this is a blessing for you. Once I got sick, I really had no option but to focus on myself and focus on what's best for me. And without me getting sick, I never would have found yoga as early as I have. I never would have been thinking these thoughts that I feel are so powerful and can help a lot of people. I forget who I heard this from, but healed people heal people. And I'd like to add that people who are healing can also heal people. Because I don't think anyone is ever truly healed. I think healing is a lifelong process and we're always going to be healing. So as long as you're in the mindset of you want to get better, no matter how sick you are, you can still heal people. You can be on your deathbed and heal people with your own outlook on your situation because it's contagious. When you're handed this awful genetic card, how you play that card, other people notice. And it inspires all the people around you, everyone who witnesses what you're doing. Anything bad that's happened to you, use that as a slingshot. It's going to pull you back for a while, but when you bounce back, when you're feeling ready and when you're feeling up to it, just go for it. Go for whatever crazy thing you wanted to do because you never know when life could just be over. And you don't want to regret not saying that thing. You don't want to regret not doing that one thing that you really wanted to do. So I hope that this inspired you in some way to kind of make the best of your situation. I know how hard it is. And even if you don't feel these things today, tomorrow, or even next year, don't lose hope. I've had ulcerative colitis for 9 years. So it's so crazy to think that, but it's been 9 years. I was diagnosed when I was 15. I'm 24. So this is not something that I thought of right away. This has taken 9 years of thinking about what's happened and what could have happened. And I've landed on everything happens as it should, no matter how painful that truth may be. So if you have any questions or comments or ideas for things you want to hear or talk about, please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe below, hit the little notification bell, and always feel free to reach out to me. If you want to send me a private message, you can reach me on Instagram, DMs, or email. And if you want to share your story, please leave a comment below. Share your experience, what you're dealing with, because you never know who's reading that comment, and you never know who else is feeling the exact same way that you are. And maybe the only thing you guys need is to know that someone else is feeling that way. And you'd be so surprised of the comfort that comes from feeling seen and understood. And a lot of times dealing with illnesses, especially when they're chronic and nobody knows how to fix it or whatever, it's so difficult to communicate with people because you know that they don't know what you're going through. And to have that community and to have people that do know, it gives you this whole other level of peace. So if you're feeling called to, please leave a comment below and share your experience. And I'm sure it'll pay off in a way that can be really healing to you and to whoever reads it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.